A few agenda items. First, they're Bryson. Call the meeting to order. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the land upon which our organization stands is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Epiquick Mi'kmaqi is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this land for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Do any members of council have a conflict of interest with any items on today's agenda? Okay, this is a special meeting, council meeting, and no other items are to be added to the agenda without public notice. And now we'll, can I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll move.
So moved by Lynn, seconded by Billy. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll have introductions. Starting, Billy,
Billy, why don't you need your name and who your
social insurance number and your PIN, your PIN number.
Billy Gamble, and I sit on council here in Belfast.
I'm Lynn Harris, and I'm a resident of Flat River, Belfast.
Henry Kleiner, also a resident of Flat River.
Evan Young, representing Belfast Fire Department.
I'm Ashley Feschuk, and I am the project coordinator and administration for Rural Municipality of Belfast.
Andy Henry, I'm with the Belfast Area Watershed Group, BOG.
Garth Gillis, I am with the Community Council
And the mayor.
and the mayor.
I'm Bob Brooks, I'm the CAO of the Rural Municipality of Belfast.
I'm Lynn Brooks, and I represent the Bell River Women's Institute.
I'm Sherry Telke, I represent Belfast Area Watershed Group.
Constable Hugh Pinellas, RCMP. Jim Kane on the council.
Tara Stewart with the Emergency Animal Response Team for PEI.
I'm Lynn Doherty, and I am on our RMB Council as Deputy Mayor.
Hello everyone, Nick Jago, PIEMO.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bryce Sousa. I'm the Public Safety Officer with EMO, and I'm the Public Safety Officer that represents the Kings County region of it. And Nick here covers Queens. We just thought that I'd bring him along to get a little more practice with this. Both of us, this would be our first HRA we've done ourselves, but not the first for our office. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time out of your evening to come.
So the floor is now yours, Louis.
Awesome. So, welcome. I'm just going to do some introductions. That's perfect to get to know everybody right off the bat. So this process will help identify what hazards pose a greater risk to your municipality, which may limit or prevent you from providing services. You'll likely see the top risks will be the ones that you're most aware of. However, we may see other ones you did not think about. This initially may seem like a complex process. However, it is very simple. Each incident gets an individual rating on likelihood, which is pre-populated. I kind of left it blank here. Just I want you guys to kind of talk about it. We'll discuss when we go into the process. Level of susceptibility based on the level of impacts, rating on human impacts, fatalities, injuries, and displacement, property impacts for residents and municipal critical infrastructure and utility losses within municipal business. The level of resiliency is scored on the level of mitigation, preparedness, and internal capacity and external capacity. At the end, we do a calculation for the risk. Once the process is completed and the list is finalized, it will be provided with you and an awareness of the areas requiring more focus. The work that you will be doing increasing your capacities will be reflected under the resiliency section. So once the process is completed and the list is finalized, it will provide you with an awareness of areas requiring more focus. And the first couple will take a bit of more time to get familiar with the process. We have at the most 25 to score, so we will need to remain on focus, and my job is going to be ensure that discussions are not too detailed and off topic. Within this whole process, we're here to facilitate more or less. You guys know Belfast better than us. I'm from Mount Stewart, he's from Charlottetown, so we're a little far away from here. So we'll break out in discussion when we kind of score some of these questions. We'll try to keep it on topic and as short as we can, but if we need to get a discussion, it's perfectly okay. You'll have to be open-minded about the risks that we are assessing, as sometimes we need to assure the worst-case scenario wherein others know so much. The scope and scale of these events can be mild to extreme. However, if we understand what our challenges would be in the extreme, they are much easier to manage when they're in the mild. In order to understand what the range of the scope is, we will provide you with the necessary detail in the scenario description. Some events we may be very broad, and some other we may be very in description. Once we have completed the steps in the process, we will take them back and prioritize the document for your municipality and prepare a final report that you will all, anybody who is here today, will be able to see and you share with the municipality on all. The report will identify the catastrophic, critical, and serious risks and provide some recommendations on how to reduce and mitigate. It should be noted that some of the items may require part of the discussion to break down the hazard from mild to extreme, and some of these things on the list may not have anything to do with the municipality. We can skip right over them, but most of them are very applicable to most municipalities on time. So in the little booklet, I think Ashley printed everybody out a little booklet. It's this one right here. It's kind of for the participants. If you guys want to turn to page 6, we'll if you haven't looked through it already, it explains the kind of grading process that we're using. So I'll just give everybody a second to look through it. Once you guys are done looking that over, we'll start on page 9. So we're going to start on page 9 with this appendix A. This is going to be the demographic factor. So this is the impact on the municipality caused by the increased number of vulnerable population groups. Vulnerable population groups require additional assistance from the municipality and therefore increase the susceptibility overall. In addition, disasters directly affecting the vulnerable populations group increase the emotional effect of a disaster. The assessed value for the factor remains consistent for the entire risk assessment. So within this would be your hospitals, your long-term care homes, seniors' homes, schools, daycares, and above 15% of the senior population defined as those living in the community who are over 65 years of age and not in care of a hospital or a long-term care facility. I think I wrote it down that I was looking at the 2021 census for you guys. It is, most of your population is over 65. I think over 600, I believe. It's been a while since I looked, but 15% is the national average for seniors populations, and then the other side of it is above 30% low income, defined as those living in the community with an after-tax income of less than $17,000 for a single person or $24,000 for a family. These people deemed to have low income have reduced ability to recover from disaster and will require increased support from the municipality. And once again, 35% is the national average for the population living below that defined income. Does anybody have any questions on the scale that we're using here from 0 to 5? I know it's worded a little weird, one are the vulnerable populations. We're just gonna use it as a scale of 1 to 5. How do we think it works with the municipality? And this is the part where you guys can kind of discuss amongst yourselves and come up with a common number.
Well, you want us to come up with the number now?
Yeah, so with this process, I'm gonna facilitate it, and you guys are the ones, this is your municipality, you're gonna create the number. And we can help and discuss and answer any questions. So the first kind of steps would be, how many long-term care, senior homes do you guys have in the municipality, low-income government housing that you have?
Well, I can throw out the first to start it off. In my mind, our score would be starting at 4 to 5 because I think we probably have all of those criteria, but it's questionable about whether it's 4 or 5. But we definitely, that's right, 4. And the reason it's 4 is because we don't have a hospital. But we do have all the rest.
Yeah. And everybody comfortable with 4?
Yes.
Yeah. And that tends to be, most municipalities are kind of seeing the same thing. Everybody has some form of long-term care, low-income housing, except for the bigger cities with hospitals. So, no, that's a pretty good.
I noticed no one's here from Bill's Lodge, I don't think.
Pardon?
Am I right, there's no one here from the lodge?
There's no one here from the lodge,
They
no.
weren't able to.
Because they should probably be the ones, of anyone, who should probably have a proper emergency plan in place. The only major incident we've ever had in this municipality is when that lodge caught fire.
Right.
And it was absolute chaos. It wasn't for Bernie Paul, who was the chief, the fire department chief at that time, and Ed McLeod, that it could have been really difficult. But they're the ones that should really have a very clear understanding of the emergency procedure for clearing that place out. Keeping track of that.
We went through a scenario of that sort already with them.
With them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so before for that, we'll move to Appendix B, which is under the resiliency section. It's the green diagram on the sheet. So the first thing we'll be doing is mitigation for structured and non-structured. So the definition for mitigation is, or for the mitigation sales, is a level of mitigation a municipality is completed to prevent or mitigate from a specific hazard. This can include both structural mitigation, enhancing protection around vulnerable properties, movement, placement, and the design of critical infrastructure, and non-structural mitigation strategies, which include zoning and construction bylaws and building permit restrictions in low access areas. And that can be from protecting shoreline to moving cottages back, just for an example.
Did you want to start that off, Ashley? I know there's one of the categories that we need on the resiliency.
No.
Okay.
I'm not ready for that.
Okay, so if we talk about the structural and non-structural, we have no infrastructure. The municipality owns no infrastructure. However, we support numerous not-for-profit infrastructure. For example, the fire hall, we provide them funding, the rec center provide funding, that sort of thing. So in that case, because we don't own it, but we have it in the municipality, how would you advise on that?
Do you guys have any form of like risk management within the municipality? Has that ever been talked about before? No? And that's totally very common for municipalities, no infrastructure. And even if you were to go low on this, it's not really affecting because it's just for structural. It's this is geared up for more of like a city approach of big municipalities, but like we're very unique in this way that you guys wouldn't have any infrastructure. So I'd be thinking maybe 2 for this. That's just throwing that out there, as you guys would take any mitigation efforts that you can within your boundaries of jurisdiction.
And as for our emergency measures plan, or emergency management plan.
Yeah, that would be for under preparedness.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, it's kind of a weirdly worded for mitigation, but the more important ones to me would be preparedness and training and all that, so.
So in regard to preparedness, we have our own emergency, as you know, emergency management plan. It is currently up to date and continually being updated as we speak. And we have exercises like this one, and training that's happening, well, it's being scheduled and booked on a yearly basis.
Okay, so just jump right back to mitigation. Are you guys happy with 2 for an answer for that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Got that. Awesome. So we'll move on to preparedness, and that's awesome. You guys are always keen, and that's why I'm here. I get done too many of those, so it's awesome to see. So within the preparedness, the level of preparedness activities and municipalities to prepare for the specific hazard, and this can include but not limited to written plans, protocols, documentations, resources, emergency training, annual updates, and exercise schedule. And even just from my short term with you guys so far, I've been here twice already, and within 3 months, so that shows me that you're pretty keen and on top of it. So. Within this, I would say you guys are pretty well prepared, but internally, how do you guys feel?
And say again?
Yeah, like, how do you feel internally as a municipality on your preparedness level?
As you may remember, we've been at this now for 4 or 5 years, and each year we do more and more on it. For example, when we started 4 years ago, we had no warming centers. We now have 2 that are certified by the Red Cross and EMO. We also have supplies and or budget for supplies. And we have 3 staff that are designated in regards to emergencies, but we also have all members of council that are also have a role in the emergency plan.
Yeah, with the information that I know I'm gonna be given, I'd be comfortable with 1, but that's up to you guys, because you guys are showing you're very keen and updating everything, and getting this done, you're not totally, but if you're working your way towards that,
Right.
you understand.
So you said 1?
1, if you, but like again, that's your guys' number.
I would agree with
Comfortable.
1.
Yeah, we're not too.
I would agree
That
with
as
1.
well.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, 1 makes sense.
And so internal capacity is availability and reliability of resources, both human and material, at the municipal level, backup supplies including but not limited to extra pumps, barricades, backup power generation, and municipal staff. Assessed through an efficient fan-out system or a cross train. And like I was here a couple, I don't know, maybe a month ago when you guys were here, we kind of founded the role, so I'm pretty comfortable with that.
In addition, both warming centers now have operating emergency generators. And we have MOUs that are written on both.
Perfect. So that's this facility and forget the name.
Belfast Rec Center.
Belfast Rec Center. Did the other, was the rec center the last one to get the generator?
No,
No, this is
Oh,
here.
this one.
This was the second one. Once we had the Belfast Rec Center, because it's so far away, we wanted one on the other side of our municipality.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a couple of municipalities that I work with. So if the money's there and the funding's there, take advantage, because you don't know when something could happen on that side. There could be a tree down, simple as that, could split everybody up. What are you guys thinking for score for internal capacity?
I was gonna say hi. Zero.
I was gonna say hi.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal
Yeah,
of our
we're ready
jobs,
to
is
go.
for you guys to be high and have all that backup power and stuff. So it's nice to see. I'd be comfortable with that.
Can I let you know, we have a couple generators with emergency animal response team. So I have one for the eastern part of PEI. If there was like a farm issue with power, getting water running or anything into cows or any like livestock or pets, that kind of thing. So I do have one at my house, and that's what it's for.
Are these big generators or?
It's like a normal,
Okay.
normal
Okay.
side, yeah.
That's good to know in case of a large farm that
Yeah.
needs assistance.
Yeah, we do have a few of them, but I've got the one for the east, so.
And in the last emergency with Fiona, EMO, made available many generators as well.
Yeah, we've.
Does the
since-
fire department-
As well.
That was my next
You still
question.
have
the
someone?
fire department.
We have two with the fire hall.
Do you?
Yeah. And we've got racetracks as well, so there's 3 at the fire hall that we could.
You got access to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So external capacity, the last one on the resilience scale, is the external assisting agents can include, they're not limited to fire departments, police department, Red Cross, EMS, emergency and response team, local services clubs, Lions clubs, women institutes, any sort of aid group within the municipality, and businesses that are located in it as well. External capacities rely on existing presence in the community, written MOUs for assistance and services, and the agency's ability for responding during a specific emergency. And like you said, you would have multiple MOUs within the municipality.
We have
I see some
4.
here from the fire department, police department, so it shows that you're very well connected within the community. So what would you guys be thinking for that?
Well, we started the MOU partnership program about 6 months ago.
In January.
We now have 4 partners that are signed up with MOUs, and we're still looking for 3 or 4 more. So that process is ongoing until we get 3 or 4 more.
Give it one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it won't be great, because
Yeah.
like, once you get all those MOUs, then you can start doing engagement with your stakeholders. That's great to do. So within the likelihood scale, the likelihood scale is simply a rating on something, a hazard may occur at some point. The score does not have a factor in frequency of the incident's occurrence. Likelihood divides how the incident may occur over a specific period of time. And starting from 1, it's very rare, and 5 is kind of frequently likely. Is there a representative here from the Historical Society? Seen that
We
invite?
sent an invitation to them, if they weren't able to make it.
Okay. I'm sure you guys, as most residents, would probably have a vast understanding of the history of the municipality as well. So, this is something we kind of fill out in our own office beforehand, but I think it'd be more engaging to do it here. Just, I don't know, like I said, I don't know your municipality as well as you guys do. So when it comes to a blizzard, I mean, all of PEI, we see blizzards, it's not really kind of focused on one area. It's an occasional event, more like unlikely, but it's not something we see all the time, but it is something that occurs usually every winter. It depends on how we scale a blizzard, but blizzards like bad like white wine sample or something like that.
In our case, it usually means that you have drifting across your lane and you can't get out. That happens a lot, and also people's sidewalks, doorways, a lot of people actually have storm doors. And if you have a storm door and the snow does not allow you to open the storm door, then you end up going out the upper floor window. Stuff like that.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah, I am experienced, but there's also a lot of people that require assistance just to shovel the sidewalk or shovel the weed. That probably happens 2 or 3 times in a winter.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Well, there was twice that we couldn't get out of our laneway.
So would you be comfortable with occasional or moderate? And you guys have probably a unique wind pattern being on the south side down here, so probably some.
What about the ferry fire? I mean, we've had one.
Yeah.
Likelihood.
Yeah, but you're working on scoring the blizzard or the hazards on the left, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We'll get to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
You're way ahead of us there, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 3 is probably a fair. I mean, you can get it winter, it's no storms every other day, but you can get it winter, you only have 2 or 3 the whole winter.
And we'll just go right across, we'll just
Yeah.
knock one out, one by one. So when it comes to fatalities for blizzard, we're very fortunate that I think we're very low to none here. I mean, depends on the blizzard, power outages, but it's, it hasn't happened in a long time, I don't think.
Yeah.
Injuries, They do occur during these type of events. You could be thinking low. I mean, it could be simple as you walk at your doorstep and you slip and fall and hurt your wrist or something, or losing traction in your car and going off the road.
Perhaps the fire hall has a better
Yeah. Or
idea of,
snow blower injuries.
yeah.
I see a chunk of those in the winter, so. I
Your
would,
guess on that?
I would say low. It's
Yeah.
not super frequent.
So we'll put low for that. Displacement during the winter, that's more your type knowledge, and the fire department can maybe speak on that, or even the police department, maybe within people with stranded vehicles or homes without heat or poor insulation during the winter, it can really affect displacement of homes. Not to my knowledge, I don't know if you guys have ever activated your reception center in the winter in the past couple of years. So,
Put it as low.
yeah, for sure. Residential property losses and damages. And we use Fiona as an example for anything, because it's kind of the most applicable thing.
That puts the number up.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the Fiona damage. Was there quite a bit down this way? Or?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
But you're just talking about blizzard though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes through a blizzard, are we thinking much for property losses and damages?
Yeah, it did be low when blizzard was, I suppose.
Broken shovels.
Yeah, snowplow markers. Critical facilities, assets, losses and damages, and once again, we probably see minimal losses and damages during a weather event like this. Utilities, losses and damages, that's something that can be very more common in the winter. Are you guys left without power in most winter storms?
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you feel for a rating on that one?
Well,
Probably moderate.
yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's not if the power's going out, it's
When.
when.
And for how long?
Do you have a Generac, or do you have a generator, or?
That's a 2.5.
Post Fiona now, especially like last winter, it's an event of when, because we all know it's going to happen. Like from tip to tip beyond, we all face the same problem. And then interruption, loss of services or service.
So we, went on 2 for that, is that, yeah.
And so interruption, loss of services and service delivery during a blizzard. Very common. You maybe might not be able to make it in work, or the fire department might not be able to respond in a timely manner during a blizzard. So how would you be feeling with that one? During a blizzard, like would there be any interruptions?
Actually, you know, I'm always really impressed with highways, how they get those roads cleared as the blizzard is happening, and or the roads are usually clear within hours or half a day. So, well, except in the private laneways where you're the contractor.
I feel you too. I live in a municipality and you see the highway clear and you're like, oh God, there's about 3 feet down my street. And it's a common occurrence.
Drive a Silverado, it's weird.
Yeah. And so for interruption, like, would we be thinking low? Like, it
Yeah.
can happen,
Yeah.
but it is low.
Yeah.
Good one for that. Perfect. So we'll move down to heavy rainfall. And the occurrence level, like within the past week, I don't know about down here, but we see quite a bit of rain. Nothing crazy and torrential, but I don't know, I think it was over, one of our coworkers at 130 up west where he was, so it's quite a bit of rain. Do you guys think, I mean, this is kind of an on and wide answer, really, but what's the likelihood scale for heavy rainfall?
Well, I think the likelihood is high that we're gonna get heavy rainfall. However, we live in a maritime province and we expect heavy rainfall, and I don't know that, everybody expects it and are prepared to, you know, are prepared for heavy rainfall.
It's a very frequent event,
Yeah.
heavy rainfall. We're usually due every month
In
or so.
terms of the severity of what we feel by it,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
could be low.
Yeah. You guys feeling more like moderate, unlikely, or in between?
Zero right across the board. It's gonna rain a bit. Never bothers anybody too much.
I think we'd be comfortable with occasional, kind of right in the middle, because you don't want to set the number high to affect your score, but we are a maritime province.
Agreed.
we'll put 3 for that one.
For heavy rainfall?
Should it be 0?
Oh,
Zero,
yeah.
I'm going the wrong way.
Oh,
You
yeah,
guys are jumping ahead.
we're in the blue,
Yep.
so 3, yeah.
This is just under the likelihood, this is not any event, this is just the likelihood of it happening. So when it comes to fatalities from heavy rain, everybody's opinions.
Well, and,
That's right.
I am in agreement with, Jim, where basically it would be 0 to 1 across the board.
Yeah.
In the rainfall category.
Yeah. Yeah, 0s across the board.
So, hurricane or tropical storm, likelihood scale. I mean, it's an up and coming trend for sure. It's unlikely, but I think we're coming to a sad reality where it is going to be more occasional.
Yeah.
We hope not. Hope not. It's the biggest thing, but
We'll give it a 3 and hope for the best.
Yeah.
yeah. So it comes through fatalities for hurricane or tropical storm.
Did we have any, we didn't have any in Fiona.
We'll put very rare. I mean, fortunate across the island. I don't think.
0.
I don't know if there was any on the island, but it's a very low chance that there was.
And again, just to touch on that point real quick, especially with more homes having generators, emphasizing generator safety and making sure that those are being utilized in a safe manner is imperative. Now that more households are having those, keep them 20 feet away from your house, keep them outside, in a well-ventilated area. At the end of the day, the more education that people have on utilizing generators, the less likely those unfortunate things may be to happen. But just keep that in mind. I know after Fiona especially, a lot of people were purchasing generators, and especially going forward, you want to utilize those in a safe manner.
Okay, so we'll put fatalities to 0, very low. We're thankful for that. Comes to injuries, speaking with the fire department, low, moderate, rare. Do you guys experience any throughout Fiona? From simple, like this could be during the event to weeks after, some electrical chainsaw hazards.
None that we had to deal with. I heard stories about there was a lot of chainsaw related injuries post Fiona, but none that the fire department responded to.
Yeah, we'll put if you guys are okay with that, we'll put very, very low. It is a low risk.
Yeah.
So 0 or 1?
0.
Yeah, 0.
I would say 0.
In displacement from a hurricane or tropical storm, that can be very common.
I'd say 1 be a low factor in
Yeah.
that one.
Were you guys activated during Fiona or post Fiona? Probably for
Yes.
water like
Yes.
stations. Yeah.
18 days.
Was there any displaced families from damage or?
Well, not this, well,
On that mini home.
yeah, there was a lot of
There was
people
a
that
couple.
were
There
down
was,
there warming
yes.
center for supplies, for food, for water, for showers.
Yeah.
Displaced.
There wasn't a couple of homes got damaged beyond.
Yeah, it's during a hurricane. This can be a moderate thing. I would think.
Yeah.
Displacement. It doesn't mean your home's trampled, but as simple as you don't have electricity to pump the
Yeah.
well, so you're displaced to go retrieve that.
Yeah, there's lots of that.
Yeah. Yes, we'll throw 2 for that. Residential property losses and damage.
I would say high.
Yeah. 3.
Yeah, it's a miracle if you get away from something like this with property damage. Yes, we'll put a high for that one. Critical facilities, assets, losses, and damages. Did the municipality face any damages during?
We have no infrastructure.
No infrastructure, and even just within this building or anything,
No.
you did
No.
lose?
Just lost power.
Okay.
Our senior care building was not damaged. I don't believe in any way.
The issue is all about power.
Yeah. So there's nothing critical within the municipality that cannot operate or something. Yeah, we'll put, you're happy with that, it'd be low.
Ashley and I work from home and or the warming center.
Yeah. Yep, facilities and then utilities, losses and damages.
Sorry, what was the score on that one?
1.
In
And when it comes to utilities, losses, and damages during a hurricane or tropical storm, how will we be feeling for that one?
It's moderate to high.
I'm sure you guys were probably within most of the island displaced without power for a week or two after Fiona, more than that, some people
11
face.
days.
Yeah,
18.
yeah,
18.
I was kicking 18 or 19 myself, so.
It's actually high anytime. Anytime we get a real bad blow, it's water for a few hours.
For sure, especially after Fiona, like if we were to see high winds,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's not
Even
type of
max
deal.
are high.
So 3.
3.
Yeah. So business impacts, interruption, loss of services and service delivery.
That was the same because they were also shut down for 18 days in many cases.
For sure, and the fire department, RCP as well, probably were not tampered with, I guess, from the trees being down. You couldn't operate your services as quick as you would like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think everybody faced that across, so. We'd be feeling probably, I mean, during an event like this, it's gonna slow down everything, so we'd be probably looking at moderate to high. You guys think you're comfortable for
3.
3? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So that's it for that one. We'll go to forest fires, kind of a hot topic, no pun intended. We're going to likelihood. I mean, with the only fuel being down, this is probably the year for more or less for it to be likely. So this is once again up to you, but even just looking through satellite imagery, there is quite a bit of forest kind of within this area. So.
I just want to throw it out there. The way PEI farms is old-fashioned way of farming where you have all these lots and they're surrounded by a thin area of trees. So it seems to me while there is a possibility of fires to get started, it's a lot harder for them to travel simply because of all the farm fields and the way they're, now we're just talking about our municipality.
Yeah.
Because this is a rural municipality, but I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Sadly, out my way, they're taking out hedgerows. That could cause a big problem, because even during the peat moss spot fire up west a week ago, we we're kind of looking at satellite imagery, there's a lot of natural breaks. And we're not, the fire, it's only gonna go so far, just depends where it is. Like I said, if you ever flew into Charlottetown, you see all these fields.
Yeah.
They're very contained, and within volunteer fire department response is pretty confident in containing most fires.
This is a good question for Jason.
Jason's in Alberta.
Sorry, yeah.
I would say it's unlikely. We haven't had any in the district as far as forest fires are concerned.
Brush fires
Yeah.
don't very well turn into anything more than
I would agree.
That's,
We're very fortunate too, a lot of our trees are dropping. So, as much as it is bad in the woods, from what I've been seeing, there's a lot more that have actually made it down that are starting to get down.
yeah,
No.
and after this year, they're just gonna start to decompose,
Yeah.
and there'll be no risk, so. So fatalities during a forest fire, probably backpacking off the other one, this would be very, very low. If everybody's happy with that. And injuries as well, you're thinking?
0.
0. In the displacement, this is very low, maybe low, because if there was an event like this to happen, small travel wind direction, it could possibly displace a family just for safety reasons.
Yeah, but it also has very low, so.
Yep.
0.
Yep. And residential property loss and damages 0.
Zero right across.
You could probably 0 across, are we happy with that? or-
Yeah.
Yeah. What did we put down for the blue category, likelihood?
2.
And so next one will be coming to storm surges, likelihood like during Fiona, you guys experience high storm surges, water levels in this part of the island?
We have the Northumberland Strait, so there's no tsunami that's gonna Make
get to us.
Get to us, yeah.
You'll know it first.
The ward's experienced a
I would
lot.
think
though.
what's that?
The ward's experienced a lot. Like down here, it was 3.5, 4 feet over the whole wharf during
Sorry.
the storm, yeah. And Dean had, I think it was 4 feet of water he had to pump out down the fish plant. So there is, I mean, in the low-lying spots, we do see quite a bit during the storm.
Yeah, you're definitely, you pose less of a risk than like a north side municipality for storm surges. You know, out my way in Morel, they face very high
Put
water
it 3
levels.
occasional.
Mhm.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. And it comes to fatalities,
0.
0 across the board.
0 across the board, everybody's happy with that. Okay. Ice storm / freezing rain, pretty common occurrence here in the island. We seem to have that, so. You guys be happy with it? It's a occasional
The
event.
3, yeah.
And fatalities due to ice storm / freezing rain, main kind of leaning on the fire department, NBCs, see kind of pose a higher risk during these times, or?
That would be,
No fatalities from
Say 0.
I would go 0 across the board on
0
that one.
across the board.
Yeah.
Except for utility losses.
Yeah, you're not losing power.
So for
Yeah.
utility losses, 1 or
2.
2.
2? Okay.
Everybody good with 2 on utility losses?
Interruption, loss of service, and services delivery. It may slow and hamper, but it definitely probably wouldn't interrupt them too much, depending power as well, so.
So 1 or 0?
On utility losses?
Yeah.
I thought we did 2.
Oh,
2
sorry.
on utility losses and probably 1 on interruption or loss of service.
Everybody good with that?
So 1.
Yep.
Okay.
If we had one.
Yeah. If it crashes, it's going to be a
Well, I'd recommend just 0s across the board,
Yeah.
either score.
Okay.
If it was to happen, if you pick it, but. Alright, so we'll do marine spill / accident. And that's the topic that was brought up before. It's unlikely, but due to your guys' location, it does pose a risk.
I think that's correct. I think it would be unlikely, number 2, but we are a marine area, so it's possible.
And no new ferries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mid-July.
Yeah, it'd be an unlikely occurrence, but it can happen. It'd
Yeah.
be simple as any sort of lobster fishing as well, so.
2?
2, yeah.
2.
We definitely experienced the blue moon in that period.
Yes.
That was-
Yeah, I don't think it was anything anybody was expecting.
No,
By
very
all means.
shocking.
So we'll do 2 for that one, and,
And then 0s?
yeah, and we go, I mean, the ferry fire, it was a bad fire, but everybody made it safely, I don't think there was.
Actually, I was impressed actually how it was handled, because we had a ferry fire. Northumberland came over here, we opened up this place. They only needed assistance for 3 hours, we gave it to them. They had everybody on the buses and out of here, and in the meantime, they were fed and watered and all that kind of stuff. It went fabulous.
Remind me before I leave, something to ask you guys about that, so
Okay.
don't let me forget.
Very fire.
Okay, so, fatalities for that, we'd probably be happy with very low.
Yeah.
Something to that scale, and the amount of people that were on that boat
Oh, yeah.
to get out unscathed, it's pretty good. We'll put 0 for that one. And then be thinking maybe 0s across the board, give you guys a second
Yes.
review. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Building collapse. Within your municipality, has it ever happened?
I think it was before everybody's time. 35 years ago, we ran a program for 4 years. We tore down 80 old buildings in this area that were in danger of either falling down, old barns, old houses.
Okay, so that would put you guys.
So that's why you notice we've not really opened turnout here.
Yeah, that's like a mitigation. Yeah, awesome.
I would say occasional to moderate, and of course during Fiona, we had a lot of buildings coming down.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, barns.
Yeah.
So
As a matter of fact, when you drove here, you've probably seen a few,
They're still falling down.
Take any second side road, using a PI, you'll see one or two that were
Yeah.
affected by Fiona. So yeah, it isn't, it's an unlikely event, but it may be.
Score of 3, I think would be
I think
fair.
as
If
three
you're trying to
is
run another program.
closer.
Yeah.
So you did 3?
Yes.
Fatalities. When we're talking about this, like most of the buildings we would have seen during Fiona, they were probably more likely outbuildings, barns, no homes, maybe collapse, probably found some structural damage, but no, nothing to a collapse scale.
I believe there was, well, Fiona had a few houses, residential units that were destroyed or brought down. I think everything's a 0 with the exception of the residential property losses and damage. I would put that up to 3 or 4.
Is that from trees coming down?
Yeah, we'll probably do this.
Anything or even the wind knocking them down. There was a lot of trees that landed on structures.
Isn't that covered in,
Yeah, this is kind of a different thing. This is like a structural failure would be my interpretation of it.
that's been mine too.
Like this isn't like related to wind or an outside
No.
factor.
I see.
Yeah.
So then that changes it. So that would be-
I could
So
be
we'll
wrong.
go,
What is the follow-up of the actual building collapsing?
Taking into account of the program that he was talking about, that's a mitigation effort that lowered your risk quite a bit. This, we'd like to think of maintaining this, but I think it's kind of more asking in a overall stance, how do you think your community, is there any at-risk buildings in the municipality or that could come down in the storm?
Say 2, it's unlikely. It's unlikely.
Yeah.
Say 2.
I agree.
And then 0s across the board.
Given that most of these buildings are secondary, like on secondary building property. Hazardous material spill or release, and once again, probably lean on the fire department. Hazmat calls in the municipality, do you have any certain types of firms that operate with certain chemicals that you'd be concerned with?
Couldn't tell you.
No.
We've had 0 hazmat calls though, but I'm not aware.
Also 0 spills.
Yeah.
1.
So 1 and then 0s across the board.
I mean, the more likely would be a transport truck
Yeah.
accident, something along those lines.
Especially on the Transcam.
We've had a potato truck roll over, but
Very rare.
very rare.
Zeros.
So that's 1 and 0s?
Yes.
Yeah, and so for public demonstrations / disturbances.
Just at council meetings.
Yeah.
Jerry's always got a
Yes.
problem.
I think it was it.
And Brian.
So we'll probably put one that is very rare, 0 across the
So
board.
would that be 1 and then 0s across the board again? Yeah.
for public demonstration.
Yes.
And just, you guys wouldn't have any, as Nick was saying, any mass events that happen here, like celebrations, anything like that?
We had Belfast Days last weekend.
Where were you this past weekend?
That's a mass celebration.
Yeah, yeah.
And our Christmas tree lighting.
Yeah, yes.
And I doubt you guys ever see too many protests or disturbance at those events.
No, I sent them away.
Not many, no.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
And labor disruption.
No.
And this probably, we could probably just skip right over that because it's not really applicable to too much. And loss of contamination of water supply.
That
You guys
doesn't
don't have
apply.
city water here. It's probably
We all
not-
have our own
well,
wells.
yeah.
That's-
Yeah. So we'll put that probably very rare, just in the case of runoff from a farm field or something, oil spill, so. we'll do, very rare,
Let's
zeros
keep it
across
there.
the board. Yeah.
I think the only real one to that is wells that, taking on salt water in a couple of spots, but even
Yeah.
that's minimal.
Yeah. And everybody's favorite, loss of power.
Mhm.
So moderate.
4 to 5.
5, 4.5.
My house 5.5.
Yeah.
I live in the woods.
Everybody happy with 4 moderate?
Yes.
Yeah. And then fatalities, it's very low to none. Power loss in the winter usually isn't too bad. I mean, we were lucky here in Fiona, it wasn't -30 with their power, we were all pretty okay that way. So we're really happy with the 0 for fatalities, and,
I think it's zeros all the way except for utility losses and damage at probably a 2.
How much for
Yeah.
displacement? Without the power? Yeah, displacement,
High.
maybe it might be 1 for displacement.
yeah, we'll do displacement, and then it would be utilities losses and damages. And
Could be 1 for residential property losses and damage.
yeah, we put that because that could be as simple as your fridge or everything's bad or, should be probably, a low chance, we would think, for those 3 categories.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bingo.
On to the second page. Loss of wastewater system. Everybody here probably has septic within the municipality, so not too much to worry. Very rare, I mean, zeros across, it's not a very fatal event by no means. And loss of IT system.
No, we just call Henry.
Thanks. So under interruption of service, that's a 5.
Yes, we put 1 for loss of wastewater, zeros across, and then loss of IT system within the municipality, probably not much of a pose for that. We'll do, if everybody's happy with that, we'll do very rare, zeros across for that. And then when it comes to loss of telecommunications, cell and landline, that's something to be more applicable during Fiona, maybe down here. There's a couple fixed towers down this area, but even from the fire department, just to your phone, there was disruption. I know myself, there's only like 1 spot, it's in like a 10-kilometer radius that I could get service during Fiona, due to the cell towers being down.
Well, when we first moved here, we couldn't get any service.
Yeah.
And it was only because of COVID that we started getting service.
So loss of telecommunications, but on a day-to-day, like throughout, say in a year, how many times would you face an interruption for that? Very, very rare.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1.
Opposed to 25 years ago, there's probably a vast difference, but as people start moving out here, the system get better, it's kind of a mitigation effort more or less.
25 years ago, all they had was landlines.
Yeah.
That system hasn't changed since.
And they worked.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So we'll put very rare across for that. These last couple ones are pretty butane stuff.
So in the event of some kind of disaster, probably the most critical problem we could have, because everything depends on the 911 system and the distribution of assets and resources from there. The EMS, police, fire department.
They took away all the area sirens and
You
fire
took all that,
departments.
you took that away, and you're depending on your neighbors, your family.
Yeah, if we look back on the old times where there was sirens on houses and fire departments and party lines, and they may think it's silly, but during these events, there are things that could actually work. So we're looking at loss of municipal staff.
Oh,
Is
now you're
anybody
getting
gonna
into
get up and walk out during an event, or?
Yeah. Nothing
We
big.
tried, but Garth wouldn't let me.
Yeah, it's a unique thing, even within the fire department, you're volunteer, but you try to leave, you're met with repercussions pretty quickly. So we'd be putting probably that, very rare.
1 and zeros.
Yeah. And loss of primary roads, closure, washout. Did we face any washout in any past events before?
No.
Pretty high level land.
No, I don't believe we have.
We'll do one and across for that.
The only thing for public health emergencies was the COVID thing, and that basically dictated people's activities for about 2 years.
It's very rare. Hopefully it doesn't occur too often, but the sign shows, so. And we'll do,
1 and 2.
One for fatalities, one public health.
Yeah, that would, yeah, we could do one for that, that makes sense for sure. So we'll do that for that. Civil emergency slash terrorism. I don't think we've ever got too many requests for NAS alerts from the RM of Belfast. I'm not a special NAT in the RCP of any worry in this area. It's good to hear.
And we have their cell numbers, so.
We'll do one across for that. And multi-vehicle accident, it's pretty, I wouldn't say occasional thing on the island, it's unlikely, but it can happen. It's a pile-ups or event within the winter time, so. Speaking on the fire department again, RCP.
I guess it depends on what you want to clarify as
Multiple.
classify multiple.
Multi-vehicle,
Two.
you want to say two, but two is it's kind of daily practice for NBCs.
Fair.
I would say, I would classify multi-vehicle as 3 myself.
Okay.
Just in my own experience, but
Probably rare.
yeah. We'll do, yeah, so we'll do very rare and probably under injuries and fatalities low, or just, we'd probably just stay very low.
Yeah,
Very low. So we'll do 1 zeros across them. Other would be anything that you guys would be probably, anything within your municipality that's unique.
Other is very rare.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's anything that we didn't address, feel free to bring it up and we can discuss it.
I think we covered more than we expected.
No, no.
More than dollars.
Somebody's great mind made this up before me. I'm very happy it's a template. Oh, well, that's awesome.
Say 5 years.
Excuse me, Sheriff?
Would we rate this again, say in 5 years?
That's it, that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll take this template back, and if you guys are following along your own sheets, you can kind of give a rough idea of your score. But we'll do up a final report draft, maybe any recommendations that we can see. We'll work with our critical infrastructure a little bit, kind of on this, maybe point out certain radio towers, mitigation efforts. Simple as maybe cut the grass around it, prevent forest fires. We'll just throw in a couple little things, maybe get some engagement, but it's pretty straightforward and streamlined process. Not a lot of municipalities have completed it, so it's nice to see people starting to do it, because it is something that's nice to know. And
When we initially did the municipal emergency management plan, the people that were helping us with EMO suggested that we do these kind of exercises probably every 5 or 6 years, just to make sure, well, in our case, you know, we have a new council every 4 years. Some are the same, some are new. But it gives every council a chance to look at the documents for the municipality. So in our case, we'd probably be looking at updating it every 4 or 5 years.
Does emergency EMO, do they still put on training sessions for things like critical, like site management?
we don't put on anything specific to site management, but we do put on courses for incident command system to kind of explain the complex
So
system.
you put that on for members of EMO that are like,
Any-
for example, the municipal councils here, we each have responsibilities.
Yep, we do it strictly just for your council. We do it for all sorts of groups, anybody, non-government, government. Anybody who requests it, we're here to do it.
Could you send us a copy of the courses that you put on?
I have a copy, because I sent out a message to council at the beginning of the year when I did all of the training, that there was actually some in-person on-site training available at EMO. So that was made available. There is the online option though, if council wants to partake in that going forward, which I'm happy to send along to you.
Within your municipal emergency management plan, I believe there's a section that shows what councilors have what courses, and so it kind of lists them off right there for once you can get. But yeah, like, once again, speaking to like exercises and stuff, you're mandated to do one every so long, but if you want to do one every second day we come, it's our job. We're happy to exercise municipalities because you don't tend to see these things happen so often.
Are you finished, Bryce?
Yeah, I'm happy with what I had. If you guys have any questions, we try to answer them. But that's it for the HRA process. Like I said, we'll draft up a final report and we'll make it all fancy. We'll send it off to you, and you guys can distribute it how you like.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, once we get the report, we'll end up putting it up on the well, we have a site on our website, a specific section that talks about emergency management plan, and so we'll have this report in that category.
Nice. I was browsing your guys' website the other day. It's nice to have this all set up. There's only a couple of municipalities that show their EMO side, so it's something we're happy for, aware of coming on just with other times. It's very good.
Okay, I'm gonna shut down the social media. Thank you, everyone.